back. I am back. I'm Nicole. I am your psychic mind body expert. I am so delighted to be back. It's been a long time. I actually had to take a little time off. And I don't mind telling you why. It's simply because I was kind of doing a little soul searching. Do you ever do that? Like at the beginning of the new year? Do you ever stop and think about, am I really into what I'm doing right now? Am I fulfilled here? Am I experiencing that state of bliss and happiness and joy and heaven on earth that I could be experiencing? And basically, what I was doing was kind of like regrouping and figuring out all the things that I had done in the past and whether or not they were valid to who I am now. So I I think this applies to all of us, quite honestly, right? And you're probably saying, "Yeah, but Nicole, what do I get out of this? What is this soul calling? Why would I be interested?" Well, because if you really are not happy what you're doing right now, if it's about your career or maybe your relationship, or perhaps there's something in your social circles that you really don't like or don't want or don't need anymore, maybe you're at that point, then you want to listen to what I have to say, because I think you're going to find that you're in the same position that I was a few weeks ago. So it started out as that simple, like, let's take a step back from social media. Let's take a little vacation from other people's opinions and ideas and influences on me. And let me just reevaluate what I've been doing, and how I feel about that. So, and this brings up another little story. And you may think I'm schizophrenic because I've had so many different quote unquote lives in this lifetime. I don't know if you all know, but at one time I used to be a fashion illustrator. I used to design costumes for the New York Renaissance Fair. I used to have an apprenticeship at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It's been a long time since I had to actually say that. And so there's been a lot to my life that happened way before I became a personal trainer, way before I became a Reiki master. And so it just brought up a cute little anecdote that I remember the head designer of the New York Renaissance Fair costume department told me, you don't know. You just don't know why you're going through these experiences and how it's going to add up and build up at the end of the day. In other words, and you hear this all the time. People go to college for one thing and they come out doing the exact opposite or something that's totally unrelated. And that's kind of how I felt. But her story was really cute. She said, there was a time in my life, and at the time that I worked with her, I was 18 and she was maybe late 50s, early 60s, I want to say. So that was the time frame we were talking about. But she actually said there was a time in my 30s that I ended up living on a farm. And here I am, a design major. I'm a costume designer. What am I doing on a farm, right? So she had the benefit of like hanging out with the goats and the sheep and milking the cows and actually creating little quilts out of pieces of fabric and things like that. She got firsthand look at what it was like to live on a farm. And she said she really didn't, kind of appreciate it, didn't understand it, was just kind of like, okay, this is an experience, until she got one of the biggest jobs of her life to design costumes for Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat. How about that? So not only did she, get the job, but she did a phenomenal job at it because she had this history of farm animals, and being a part of a sheep, herder kind of mode, and also creating quilts out of little pieces of fabric, and how that came together for her. And it kind of helped bolster her and help her ultimately design the costumes for Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, which was, I thought, a great example of how we are placed. We are put in places to help us kind of grow, not just our creativity and the God-given gifts we've been handed, but also to grow our maturity and our eye and our ability for discernment, for making choices, and following through and completing projects. And I used to have a huge problem with that. I also I will admit that I am not the most organized person on earth, but I am very, very passionate about getting results. And I think that's one of the things that drew me into personal training to begin with. And then I started to add up all the things that I had done in the past. So, that may have been the other life in fashion, illustration, and design and things like that. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, a lot of work. I don't think anyone realizes how much work goes into a costume. I mean, I used to work for Barbara Matera costumes for Broadway. We were in there 5 a.m. We'd leave at 10 p.m. I mean, it's like grueling work, hard work. But I then went on to television and I had some wardrobe styling experience in television, but I always taught group fitness in the hiatus months, the months we were on vacation or offset, or the set was dark. And I always taught healing to people. I became a Reiki practitioner in 1990 and then a master in 2007. And in that time, I recognized that now I recognize that my sole purpose wasn't just to become a healer. It wasn't just to learn about human anatomy and how it functions and moves as a personal trainer, or how it looks and is perceived as an illustrator, or even later on in my fitness career, I became a behavior specialist. It wasn't just about learning about how the brain functions, learns, responds, and reacts, or how long it takes to make a change. It wasn't about any of that. But what it did do was it gave me a significant amount of knowledge that was based in science that I could then start to put the parts and the pieces together of how the mind and body function and organize information together. And why would it do that? You might want to ask yourself, why would you want to know how that happens in the mind and body? And I will say that what we perceive as mind body connection right now is simply this rudimentary surface level of understanding. It goes so deeply into the subconscious, into your cells, into your soul. And that's why I call this soul calling, because what we tend to ignore or not really recognize or acknowledge, I want to say, is that those things, those parts of ourselves, are actually talking to us. And I don't mean, again, in the most rudimentary sense of, oh, I took yoga today and I was feeling like I should just back off a little bit, because I'm a little tired and I didn't want to get exhausted. And it goes so much deeper than that. And I think this is actually why God had me do all of those things, in the past, was so I could clearly explain the connection between mind and body and how that is actually developing our soul purpose, which I feel is true. Like a few podcasts before I ended in December or beginning of January, I explained through a channeled session from Metatron about how our souls continually are being kind of subjugated and put on the back burner. And I want to clarify a few things, because I think we think that we are inherently flawed, that we are simply the byproduct of our communities, our society, the function of a computer and a cell phone. That's what creates who we actually are. And this is the biggest mistake we could make. So I want to show you how your mind interacts with your body, but not just on that surface level of how you feel and what you were drawn to eat or not eat or do or not do, but simply the fact that we are living antennae for our own soul purpose and connection to source. Okay. And that you may have taken for granted or maybe heard a million times before, but never actually had the science behind it, that I have cultivated and kind of grown and figured out, not, through trial and error, but through study and research and deliberate intention of figuring this out. So there are many layers or levels, and I'm, I could say, this is the highest level, level one. Well, that's the place where we're kind of creating things in the quantum field. Let's say that's the highest level. Okay. Then there's level two, and a lot of level one happens on a subconscious level. Let's just say that. Level two is the conscious level. And I'm totally doing this spontaneously because I thought to myself, if I actually wrote down every single thing that I'd learned over the course of the last 30 years of personal training, teaching group fitness, training people in their minds and bodies, healing, it would be overwhelming. So I'm going to break it down this way. Okay. So the highest level of awareness is that subconscious mind, right? Then there's the conscious mind. And then there's the physical body, the third level, right? So what happens is we grow up perfect. We are birthed perfect. There's nothing wrong with us. Everything is beautiful. There's no impressions of anyone else's psyche on us yet. We haven't had any bad experiences. We're born perfect. There's absolutely nothing wrong with us. So what happens is as we move through life, and what we were taught as Reiki practitioners is that as we move through life, we have certain life experiences that start to deplete our life force. That was an interesting concept to me initially because you don't think of it like that. You just think shit happens basically, and then you move on, But what we don't realize is the impact it has on our subconscious mind and our beliefs, and that those beliefs start to become solid facts for us in our minds and our bodies, for better or worse. So if we continue down this road and that fact, that belief is contrary to our actual soul's truth, then that's when trouble starts to happen. Then, you start to create cells that are not perfect. Then you start to create illness, disease. You start to have accidents and injuries that will help draw your attention to the problem. So the only issue with that is that unless you know that language of the body speaking to you, unless you can translate those messages, you are not going to be able to effectively, change the belief patterns and the habits, and the memories that created the negative emotion that's setting up the neurotransmission in the brain to negatively impact the amygdala and all the other vital functions of the body. You won't be able to change any of that if you can't acknowledge it. And you won't be able to positively affect the body as a result of the change in belief systems and memories and emotions. So what I came to realize after 6 weeks of meditating consistently every day at the same time every day, and this is a little bit of feedback for you guys. If you want to meditate, try to make it at the same time every day, set up the same circumstances, try to use the same music, and you have the same intention. So many of you may not have the goals or intentions that I have, but you have for yourself maybe a picture of what you want to be, of how you want to be, of what you want to do for a career, what kind of relationship you want, where you want to live. A vision board right now is not a bad idea. create your vision board, and then meditate at the same time, same intention every single day, and see what comes up and out of you. And this is what came up and out of me. What I realized was God did not put me on this earth to help people lose weight or get fit or change their belief systems because I'm a behavior specialist now, or to draw them perfectly, although I love drawing people perfect in their own way, not like, model perfect. I'm talking about their perfect. But he didn't put me on earth to do any of that, except in how it can help me describe to you how that mind and body work together and that you are perfect already. It's just that your beliefs and your memories and negative habits and negative emotions have prevented you from having your perfect experience here on earth. What happens when we're distracted by an illness or a disease or an accident? What happens when those things become so distracting, right? Is that we are then not able to use our God-given gifts or fulfill our purpose on earth because we're kept in that distracted mode. We're constantly kept there. So keep thinking about, I've got to take this medication. I have to get this done. I have to be tested like this in a week, or I have to do that for my health. And we're constantly being distracted. So if we can pull ourselves out of the computer, and like I've said before, I'm thrilled if you're watching, but if you don't watch, that's okay too. Just get these little snippets of information that you can use to become closer in contact with your own soul calling. And this is what I pray for every single one of you that watch or are part of anything I do, if it's on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, that you get something out of it that helps you grow and evolve in the way that you know best. And I want to say, you do know this. You do know this very, very well. It's just that when we're all born, we're born with this forgetfulness. We forget who we are. We forget about our God-given talents. We forget about our perfection. We forget about our divine connection, and we hope that things like formal religion and getting psychic readings and going to retreats will help us reconnect with that. But the reality is we need to connect with it moment by moment, day by day, throughout our daily lives in order to really sync up with our soul's calling. So naturally, my attention was drawn to something different other than personal training or trying to help people with my 5-part assessment, which I'm very proud of. I don't regret any of this. It all helped me see this connection flow from the divine through your soul and your soul in your cells, through your mind connection and your body, and how it's manifesting here on earth. So that third level, the body, we look at the body sometimes with disdain and regret and shame, yet it's only reflecting back to you the thing that is out of balance. That's all it's doing. It's simply a mirror for your brain. So if there's something that you feel shameful about in your body, there's usually something you feel shameful about in your past history, your past experiences. Maybe it's a memory. Maybe it's something that wasn't necessarily your fault. And I hear this time and time again that people are ashamed of things that they never perpetrated. They never did. They're ashamed that they didn't respond or they didn't speak out. And sometimes that's the very thing you need to let go of and start speaking your personal truth. So where we think this may be a one-track deal, like subconscious mind to the conscious mind to the body, and we're stuck there. We're just stuck with what happens in the body, good or bad or whatever. That's the other problem. is that we always have the right of personal will. Now, you can imagine that, our current state of affairs, shall we say, globally, and government and social media wise, that we are at the mercy of other elements involved. But is that really true? I don't think so. I think we are not at the mercy of anything else. What we need to do is take our own power back, which I've also said numerous times during the course of these podcasts, taking our power back and utilizing our own personal will to change our reactions, to change our thought process, to change how we respond to things, to change the subconscious mind game that happens when we hold on to the wrong things at the wrong time. When we utilize our personal will, we're actually acknowledging our own power, our own divine right. And in that power, in that divine right, we're affirming that we are connected to source no matter what. No matter what, in every single cell of your body, even the ones that you feel bad about or shamed about or that have certain problems, every cell still holds the seed of that Christ light that we were talking about months ago, and I was doing a few meditations for. Every cell, do not leave any of them out. So the freckle on your back, the zit on your face, the lower back pain, there's God in there somewhere. There's your divine connection in there somewhere, trying to tell you something that you have missed, but your body faithfully will project back to you. So when you look at your body that way, when you visualize and you can see that your body is simply the byproduct of your thought process, your subconscious emotions, and your beliefs, then it starts to get easier to transform it all, right? So that's really my prayer for you and all people who choose to watch this podcast. Forgive me, it's something in my eye. Is that you take your power back, transform what you don't like, and create what you do want to do. And that's what I realized. What I'm really best at is supporting people and moms, especially, because I think we're all in the same boat. But I also want to pass this on to kids because I think there's a lot of, I want to say, conditioning through children's lives that slowly take their power away from them about their own health and well-being. And I want to give it back to them. I want them to realize and recognize they do have power in their own health and well-being, in their own healing process, and that they can protect themselves more effectively even than maybe we could. So this is part of my soul calling. And that's what I came to the conclusion of a few weeks ago, but I didn't quite have the words for how to explain that detail until now. I don't know about you, and I'm going to post about it in the future, but I am an avid journaler. I'm always journaling. This is my latest one. No joke, Walmart, $7. I mean, why not, right? Before that, it was this one. Before that, I don't even think I have it here. There's another one, but it's under too much stuff. But I always go back to the journaling because I went back a couple of weeks ago and I was journaling about certain angel messages. And one of them was, you will come to the realization of what your real soul purpose is in the next few weeks. based on your life history and what you've done in the past. And you will feel great about it. And I do. I feel great about it. So I used to give a lot of talks in person. Um, I used to give a workshop called Be a Body Psychic, and more recently, Truth Talking with the Body, which, by the way, are both extremely powerful tools to do exactly what I'm talking about, is using your own personal will in the process of your own transformation. And I wish this on everyone who is struggling right now, trying to figure out what they really want to do in their lives, how they want to look, how they want to feel, how they want to act, what they want to see every morning when they wake up, and who they want to be with every day when they're working and moving through their day. So I really love the idea of doing more talks like this for different people. So I'm going to be reaching out. The angels told me to reach out to a certain type of people. I gave a talk at Woodmont Universalist Church of Christ, and I'll probably be reaching out to more of those in Connecticut in the coming days. But I also I'm really excited about possibly sitting in on some moms groups and helping them out too. Um, so so that's my soul calling, and I hope to update you as we move along about different topics. I mean, what I talked about just now, having gone through what I did, the education that I've had over 30 years of personal training, of healing, of behavior change, and learning about metabolism and all those things. What I really want to do now is put it into layman's terms so that you understand how it all works together. So this is part one, basically, and I hope that part two will be even more, I want to say hands-on, because I think you will relate to part two even more. I will be speaking about how our bodies are essentially maps to our lives, and I've kind of talked about this in the past and given you some insights in the past, but I don't think it will ever get stale or old. This is something that's, going to come up time and time again in my podcast, because I think you need to know. And in order to know something, you have to live it a few times. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that you can listen to once, digest, and then move on, especially when we're looking at our bodies as the messenger of our souls, and how our own divine nature is calling you to that reality. It's calling you to it. So let's do this together. I am all over any questions you have, any comments you have. I have never put up a podcast that I felt like was kind of useless banter. I think these are all things you can actually be involved with yourself, practice yourself. Today I gave you some pointers and tips about meditation. You can also go to my website. I have specific meditations just for weight loss, but there will be more coming in the future, I feel, about healing emotionally, healing mentally, healing physically, and how that all works together. But for now, I want to thank you again for watching, even if it is briefly. Let's try to expand it more than 3 seconds at a time, okay? People, they're only like 20 or 30 minute. Is this 30 minutes? Yeah, only 20 or 30 minute podcasts, okay? Yeah. So if you have the opportunity to ask me any questions, like if you're feeling stuck, and I did this on Instagram the other day, I'll do this too. Listen, call me or email me for a free little brief power boost, because I also think we need a lot more positivity in our lives. We need to band together, create our own tribe of positivity for mind and body, positive impact life. All those reasons, we are going to become stronger together. Okay. I've never had such great evidence as my own son's accomplishments My oldest just graduated with a bachelor's in communications. My second son has had a job offer before he's even graduated from college, and a very, very nice offer it is. And my third son just got his first job at a grocery store packing groceries, which it's funny. Like you wouldn't think like I'd be so excited about that, but these are great things. And like I said, they're evidence of how I raised my children to really pay attention to their own soul calling and to be available for that information. And now it's bearing fruit. So I just wanted to share that with all of you. I also have an interesting, I don't know, it might be a partnership coming up. Who knew? It's very exciting, but I will have more details in the future. In the meantime, like I said, if you have any questions, you want to, free Power Boost talk, let me know of positivity, or if you have any questions about your mind body connection, anything you want to chat about in terms of your soul calling, your mental stability, your physical well being, let me know. You can email me, you can contact me at mindbodymastery.org, or you can call me at 646 739 7879. Again, thank you. You are awesome. God bless. Take care. We'll talk to you, I don't know, maybe once a week this time. I think once a week for a little while. I'll talk to you next Thursday around 1:30. Bye.